I work in psychiatric care. Have for about 12 years now. You hear a lot of things in this line of work. Delusions, paranoia, hallucinations of all kinds. After a while, you learn to separate the illness from the person. You learn not to take anything too literally. But there was one patient I had back in 2019 that still keeps me up some nights. His name was Daniel, mid-40s, admitted for severe psychotic episodes. He was generally calm during the day, cooperative even. But at night, something changed in him. Daniel lived in a small house right next to a cemetery before he was admitted. His bedroom window looked directly out at the gravestones. He told me he had lived there for 3 years, said the rent was cheap because nobody else wanted the place. At first, I figured his episodes were textbook. Cemetery proximity plus mental illness equals morbid hallucinations. It made clinical sense. But the way Daniel described what he saw was different. He didn't sound scared when he talked about it. He sounded exhausted, like someone who had seen something so many times it stopped being terrifying and just became heavy. He told me that every night around 3 in the morning he would wake up. Not from a nightmare, not from a sound. He would just wake up like something in his body knew it was time. He said he would look out the window and watch the graves. And then it would start. The ground would shift, slowly, like something underneath was pushing up. Then the bodies would come. Some of them crawled. Some of them floated straight up out of the dirt, like they were being pulled by invisible strings. He described them in detail: gray skin, hollow eyes, bones showing through where the flesh had rotted away. Some of them still had clothes on, old clothes, suits and dresses from decades ago. He told me that they would rise up into the sky, just hover there for a while, dozens of them, suspended above the cemetery like they were waiting for something, and then, one by one, they would sink back down, back into the earth, back into their coffins. He said this happened every single night. I documented everything, ran it by the senior psychiatrist. We adjusted his medication, increased his dosage, tried different combinations. Nothing changed. He kept waking up at 3. He kept seeing the bodies rise. One night, I was working the late shift. Daniel had been restless all evening. Around 2:45 in the morning, I decided to check on him. When I got to his room, the door was slightly open. I pushed it and stepped inside. Daniel was standing at the window, completely still. His breath was fogging up the glass. I called his name softly. He didn't respond. I walked up beside him and looked out the window. There was nothing there, just the dark, just the empty hospital courtyard. But Daniel whispered something that made my skin crawl. He said they followed me here. I looked at him. His eyes were wide open, unblinking, fixed on something I could not see. He pointed slowly at the courtyard below. He said, "They are right there. Can you not see them?" I looked again. Still nothing. But then I felt it. This heavy cold pressure in my chest. Like something was watching me. Like something was waiting. I stepped back from the window, told Daniel to get some rest, left the room. I never looked out that window again during a night shift. Daniel was eventually transferred to a long-term facility. I do not know what happened to him after that. But sometimes I wonder, what if he was not hallucinating? What if he was just seeing something the rest of us are not built to see? I still do not have an answer. And honestly, I am not sure I want one. I lived next to a cemetery for 10 years. People always asked me if it was creepy. I would laugh and say no. Dead people are quiet neighbors. They do not throw parties. They do not argue at 2 in the morning. I actually liked it. The cemetery was old and peaceful. Big oak trees, iron fences, a little stone path that wound through the graves. I used to walk through it sometimes on my way to the bus stop, but after 10 years something changed, or maybe I just finally started noticing. It started small. Little things I would brush off, cold spots in the hallway that were not there before, the feeling of being watched when I was alone, doors that I swore I closed, finding them open again. My mom said the house had always been a little strange. She believed in ghosts, not in a scared way. More like she just accepted it. She would say things like, "Oh, the ghost is acting up again," whenever something weird happened. I never took it seriously. I thought she was being dramatic. Then one night, everything changed. It was early morning, maybe 5 or 6, still dark outside. I had fallen asleep on the couch in the living room with the TV on. I woke up suddenly. Not because of a noise, I just woke up. The TV was off. I did not remember turning it off. I sat up slowly and rubbed my eyes. That was when I saw her. A woman standing in the doorway to the hall. She was pale, almost gray, wearing something white. A dress or a gown, I could not tell. Her hair was long and dark and hung in front of her face. She was completely still, just standing there, watching me. I could not move. I could not breathe. My whole body went cold, like someone had poured ice water through my veins. I blinked. She was gone. I sat there on the couch for what felt like an hour. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Eventually I got up, walked to the doorway where she had been standing. Nothing. No cold spot. No sign of anything. I told my mom about it that morning. She just nodded and said, "Yeah, she does that sometimes." I asked her what she meant by that. She said she had seen the same woman a few times over the years. Always in that same doorway. Always in white. Always just watching. She told me not to worry about it. She said the ghost never hurt anyone. She just liked to look. That did not make me feel better. I started sleeping with my door locked after that. I avoided the living room at night. I stopped walking through the cemetery on my way to the bus, but the feeling never went away. That sense that I was not alone, that something was always there, watching from a doorway, waiting in the corner of my eye. I moved out 2 years later, got an apartment on the other side of town, no cemeteries nearby, but sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, and for a split second I swear I can see a figure standing in my doorway. When I blink, she is gone. I do not know who she was. I do not know why she watched us. Maybe she was someone buried in that cemetery. Maybe she was attached to the house. All I know is that after 10 years of living next to the dead, I finally got my proof. Ghosts are real, and they do not just haunt cemeteries. They follow you